Hi there, it's Skyward Shield. Welcome to another edition of Football Talks. Week 5 is in the books, and we're on to Week 6. I am joined by Bill, as always. Say hello, Bill.
Hey, hey.
Alright, so let's get started right away with some Thursday night football. The Patriots, they did not look that as well on offense. Tom Brady got massacred in that game, but they pulled through thanks to the help of the Buccaneers kicker, um, and they won 19-4. So the whole Nick Folk versus Robert Aguayo battle has now concluded. There is no winner. Both were losers. The only difference was one got to keep his job for about a month or so.
Right.
Yikes. Yeah, it was that bad. And plus, the Bucks already have another kicker. I wonder how many. I wonder if they'll have more kickers than they will wins by the end of the month.
You never know. I mean, it sort of reminds me of the Lions situation from a few years ago where we just kept going through kickers every month and we just couldn't find one until we got Prater.
Yeah, now you're good with Prater.
Oh man. Oh, those were dark times and Tampa Bay is going through that. You
Oh yeah,
you, you
they're
could
going through the
tell.
dark age. I'm surprised they didn't go for Nick Novak. I would have taken him personally. I didn't think he was that bad. I'm still surprised he lost to Nick Fairbairn for Houston, but anyway. So the
Right.
Patriots game was not pretty on offense. Brady kept getting hit, and to be honest, there was maybe two drives where they really did work, and the rest was just bleh. Not good.
Yeah.
It was a very ugly game when you think about it. However, the Patriots did look a little better on defense. They did limit the Bucks to 14 points, which is the best they've done since what, week 2?
Right. And they really did hold Mike Evans in check in that game. I mean, that's a big, nasty wide receiver to deal with. And, they did a decent job at containing him. So you got to give the Patriots defense a little credit, even though they're still on a pace to be really bad this year.
I have to take away credit from one side of the ball, the Patriots offensive line. Seriously, you let Brady get hit so much, he actually has a sprain in his left arm, and he's going to play. He says he's going to play. Thank God they have essentially a mini bye, but he got hurt. He even threw his first pick already, and I hope he doesn't throw it again because I like this idea of Brady playing at a demigod level. But that with
Right.
the way that is, I wouldn't be surprised if he retires this year. I don't think he wants to, but feels like it's only a matter of time. And then they still got to play tough defenses like the Bills twice. You have to play the Broncos on Sunday Night Football. That's not going to be fun.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk, going into the season that the Patriots' schedule was the easiest in football. It's not easy
Not
in
anymore.
the NFL. It's not easy in the NFL. I mean, look at that Denver no-fly zone defense. It legit will put a licking on your quarterback and it'll shut you down through the air. Yeah, I mean, and the Patriots are struggling to really run the football. That's their main issue is they're not running the
That
football
line's not
effectively.
helping.
Yeah, they have no LeGarrette Blunt. They have no offensive line. Gillisley is not LeGarrette Blunt. Uh, you know, James White and Dion Lewis are not between the tackles runners. So all their play action stuff becomes null and void almost basically.
Yeah. On the other side, the Buccaneers offense was just Jameis Winston did not play that well. A lot of missed opportunities. As I think he turned over the ball. I'm not sure, but I remember that final drive. He missed what looked like an easy pass to get the go-ahead touchdown and win the game, but no, he missed it. He
Yep.
like just underthrew it and hit him like around where his legs were, and it looked like
Yep.
just simple get it in his chest. He catches the ball, and that's it. You win. But no,
Right.
it was not. It was not a good game. I mean, I'll be honest. There's not much else I can say because I did sleep through this game. I fell asleep through it all, and I wanted to watch. But yeah,
One
what, Bill?
I was just going to say there was one positive thing for the Patriots offense, and that is the spreading of the football to Danny Amendola and Chris Hogan. They didn't have Gronkowski in that game,
Oh
and
yeah, he was a surprise scratch.
they were relying on Amendola and uh, Chris Hogan to move the football all over the place.
Yeah,
And
Chris Hogan's good. After last year, I'm like, this guy's gonna stay here for a while, and looks like he
yeah,
is.
Hogan's legitimately nasty, and
He's
so
the
is Amendola.
he's the textbook example of what I like in a big body wide receiver. Fast enough, physical to definitely push some cornerbacks off of him with the old stiff arm, and just powers his way to the end zone if anyone's right there. I'm pretty sure if there's
Exactly.
one person blocking him from getting in the end zone, he'll push them out of the way and get in.
Right. I mean, Chris Hogan was a big time acquisition from the Buffalo Bills. Now, a lot of people, if the Patriots didn't have Chris Hogan in this game, they don't score one of their touchdowns. I mean, legitimately, they could have lost that game very easily if they didn't have Amendola and Hogan. I mean, it's it's at that point for the New England offense where they are not they need to throw the football 50 times a game to just win.
Yeah, it's not good at all. But anyway, so the Patriots are now what is it? They've only lost 2 games. I think they're 3-2 now.
Yeah, they're 3-2,
Yeah, and now they
but
have a division rival which actually can make things close in the Jets, but we'll save that for the picks. But now I
right.
say let's move on to the Motor City. What was a game of the week, maybe consider that to some, but to me, it was the start of the day for me where everything, because this on that Sunday everything looked good for me. You had great games that hope I expected the teams to win, like the Lions beating the Panthers, the Texans getting an upset against the Chiefs, and in baseball the Astros sweeping the Red Sox. But let me tell you, spoiler alert, none of that happened. Nothing went my way that day, and even in the picks, with the different ones between Bill and I went 1-4. So the gap has been widened even further. It's
Oh
bad.
jeez.
Yes, Sunday was a horrible day, and I hated it. I very much hated it. Now the good news was at least the Astros won Game 4, but
Yeah,
now we have to wait and see if the Yankees or the Indians win that game. I'm hoping the Yankees are because I'm not afraid of them. I'm more afraid of the Indians.
right.
But anyway, so let's start with
uh,
the beginning. This was the first domino that fell that led to this effect. The Lions, at it was the first quarter looked great for Detroit. Their first drive, they really missed that not getting that touchdown. It looked promising. They had the running game going their way. They were able to get some good passes and get
yep.
first downs and chew up a little bit of clock. I don't think they chewed it up like say how Dallas could, but they did it anyway. They kept the defense on the field. But then when Cam came on, they lit it up. They were torching the Lions defense for pretty much the whole game, I'd say. I did not like it. I mean that's especially considering what happened with Cam Newton, which Bill, let me get your thoughts on it now before we go on to the picks because as I'm pretty sure a lot of people know what Cam said to the female journalist who was the beat writer for Carolina saying it's funny to hear a woman talk about routes. Bill,
It,
what do you think about that?
it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard because, I mean, legitimately, she's a sports journalist. She'll know about routes. I mean, a lot of women know football better than some guys do. So it's stupid. It's not needed. And, it's funny to hear you talk about routes. It's funny that you can't. It was funny that you still were struggling in the game against the Lions, and it took a bunch of 3rd and 12 completions to get any sort of yards. So I mean, it's funny to me that he's talking about women not knowing their jobs. When he threw a temper tantrum after he lost the Super Bowl. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, as
I
for
mean,
me, I've personally, maybe this is because I'm so used to seeing teams like I'm so used to the Spurs, but I mean in the preseason game against the Nuggets, they actually had a Becky Hammond to be the head coach for that game while Popovich was not there. So I've seen there's some female staff in the Spurs side of things. In fact, I was actually thinking she might once, if ever Popovich were to retire, I kind of want them to just basically promote the next person up, and she would be a possible candidate because she's also was the head coach when they won the summer league a few years ago. So
Right.
I think like there are women who know sports. There are women who know stuff like, I mean, you could say, oh, but basketball has the women's side. Of course, that's one because there's an official sport for that. Okay, but there are women who know football. There are women who played football, just like as there are women who played some softball and baseball. They know how the
Right.
fucking rules work. Because if they didn't, they wouldn't be where they are now, would they? And
I
Cam wearing
mean,
that hat saying like, oh yeah, I want to help women. Bitch, please.
well,
You only acted like this because you lost a sponsorship in Dannon. Which, good on them. I'm not surprised everyone else didn't jump ship because, to be honest, I think if unless he actually hit that woman, I didn't expect him to lose all his
well,
sponsorships.
and
But
here's the other
yeah,
and here's the other thing. There's been women that played professional hockey in the NHL. They've been goalies in the NHL. Now, are you gonna say to a woman goalie that she doesn't know the game? And that was 20 years ago. So I just feel like this was the stupidest thing he could have said. He should have just answered the question and moved on. It could have been a major distraction for the Carolina Panthers, but it wasn't.
lucky for them.
Lucky for them because the Lions should have won that game. If Eric Ebron doesn't drop a surefire touchdown catch in the first quarter, they start off hot. They continue to make the game interesting all the way through.
Yeah, they
But
held him.
no,
If they got that touchdown, they might have just needed a field goal to win, I think. What was the final score?
it was 27-24, and if the
Oh no, it
Lions
wouldn't have made a
scored that,
difference. No,
if
it
if,
might
if
have.
the
I think it would have.
yeah, if the Lions would have won by a point. If they scored that touchdown, the Lions win 28-27 and not and lose 24-27. That's why I'm so fucking hot about Eric Ebron being a piece of garbage.
Yeah, that's
Because legitimately, if we want to really be brutally honest and we want to call out any group, I want to call out one certain player, and that is the tight end Eric Ebron, because the defense had to make stops when we should have been leading that game all the way through. You know, Eric Ebron Eric Ebron's the biggest joke the Lions have ever drafted since Joey Harrington. He's the biggest first round bust since Joey Harrington. He said he wanted to make a Pro Bowl. He's gonna be lucky if he's not cut.
yeah. Uh,
Legit. I mean, we could have had Aaron Donald. We could have had Odell Beckham Jr. in that draft, and we pick Eric Ebron when we had Pettigrew at tight end.
do you
What
mind if
in
I
the
add on to that?
Yeah, what in the hell is going on?
You could have added, um, like you could have added Kelvin Benjamin, who actually torched your asses this game. You could have had Brandon Cooks, who might have made a great slot receiver. Which, not saying I have nothing against Kenny Galladay, because he wouldn't be here if they had Brandon Cooks, but that type of support, that speed is so good because as you saw with Houston, having that speedy receiver makes cornerbacks change everything about how they play because sure, he's not the number one guy. He's not going to be the most targeted, but if he torches you, any good quarterback will say, "Okay, I'm throwing it to him because that guy can't reach the ball in time."
Right, exactly.
And
Exactly.
I would just add a couple more names because there was also there's C.J. Mosley, a linebacker for Baltimore, Zach Martin, who clearly you need help with offensive line. If you had him, you could have gotten what was that bad center you've had for years and from that 0-16 era? What was his
Oh,
name?
I forget Dominic Rayola.
Yeah, you
Dominic
could have got
Rayola.
rid of him and put Zach Martin, and then the Cowboys' dominant offensive era would not have happened. Haha, Clinton
Exactly.
Dix. You could have taken him from the Packers, or my personal favorite, D Ford.
It, I mean, it's it's at what point do we realize the Detroit Lions realize that this guy is not he was talking to the Detroit media and he said, "Oh well, I practice good. It's just not translating to games." Well, guess what? We need it to translate to games, or your ass is going to get benched. We should be benching your stupid ass right now. That's legitimately what we should be doing. But no, we have to sit through and watch you butterfingers every freaking football that's coming at you. Legitimately, oh, there's a football. It'll hit me right in the chest. It should be a touchdown. Let's drop it. You kidding me? Catch the damn football. That's what you're getting paid millions of dollars to do.
Well, Bill,
Oh, man.
there is one player playing better than him. Darren Fells is playing much better than
Yes. He
than
should be the
Ebron right now.
starter. He should be the starter. This week, he should be the starter. But we're going to stick with this first round draft bust.
Yeah, I would start him at this point because, well, he played a lot better against against the Panthers, where they needed something, anything to help them out. So I don't know. I know the other thing to note, he is 31, so he's older because he joined the NFL very late. Apparently, this is his fourth season. But
Right.
okay, 31's not the worst thing. You haven't fallen off over the cliff yet.
Right. I
So
mean,
I say make him the starter and see what he does. Make Ebron fight for that spot back. That's what I'd say. Make him fight for that spot. Make him earn his job. Although I will say there were some, how do I put it, very messed up sports fans this week, which I'll get to that in the injury side, but I noticed there were Detroit fans doing this, NFC East fans doing this. It was bad, but let's just say it involved a certain star wide receiver getting injured in a horrible way. Because injuries,
yeah.
Bill, the biggest villain in the NFL is for this week was injuries, aside from
No,
Mike Pence.
and I'm just gonna get this out of the way when we're done get to that. No fan should ever applaud anyone for being injured in a game ever.
Yep.
Period.
If you have to hope for injuries, so like in the middle of a game, so you can win a game, you don't deserve that win in the first place. But
It has no place in sports and it has no place in being a fan. It just proves that you're not a good fan if you do that.
or a good person for that matter.
Right.
Anyway, so the thing I wanted to mention for Detroit was, holy shit, what happened to the secondary, Bill? Because they got torched multiple times, giving up big plays to the Panthers. If anything, that's half the reason the offense was so alive this week for them. Also, it also complemented their defense because, as I called, this defense for the Panthers has been very Jekyll and Hyde. Like when they played the Bills and when they played the Saints, they were Mr. Hyde, but now they're Dr. Jekyll once again, where they're thriving and alive. But
Right.
Cam
Uh,
makes everything better for them when they're happy, but when they're sad, oh, they don't even want to come out to the field. But
uh, I'll put it this way. And one of the big issues was the third down conversions. The Detroit defense was stuffing them on the run the entire game. And really the long third down conversions are what killed the Lions the entire game. If you look at what when they got all their big plays, if you look at what it said, it's always third and 12, third and 13, third and 17. It was typically third and longs. And that is an area that needs to be shored up, and I think they'll do it. It just, you know, the secondary. I feel like played a little too aggressive on the run on third and longs. Why are you don't run on third and long? Get get on these guys. Double covered Kelvin Benjamin. Make him throw to his other receivers like Bunches, or let Ed Dixon kill you. And Ed Dixon killed us. And I mean, you just gotta, tip your hat and move on to the next game. I mean, you're never going to fully stop someone's offense. It's about limiting the amount of points that they get to field goals. And we were limiting them to field goals most of the game, and we could have won that game if it wasn't for Ebron.
yeah, I wish if only they got the touchdown. It was unfortunate, but still, the defense cannot give big plays like that. Also, the first game they haven't had a turnover did not help either. It was not. Oh, it was not fruit. It was not pretty.
Right.
Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to the next game in the NFC. Them boys, Bill. How about them Cowboys? What I mean, we can say we didn't. Not like we didn't see that coming. This game felt like a toss-up. And what did I say? Whoever had the ball last was going to win the game. And who had the ball last? Aaron Rodgers. 1 minute left, and he did it. I'm not surprised. I saw it coming, and I fucking laughed because, geez. This Cowboys defense cannot defend for shit. And here's the other little note to mention. They did not have Jordy Nelson in that final drive.
Right.
He's hurt. I'm impressed he didn't ask for a flag I'm surprised he didn't ask for a flag when he missed that 2-point conversion. Like, hey ref, where's the flag? Some guy who was 2 yards away from me tried to pull at me. It's a flag. Throw a flag.
Right.
I was expecting you to get a kick out of that, Bill, since Jordy Nelson always wants flags.
Yeah, he's legit. I'm just surprised he never. Like you, I'm surprised he didn't throw a temper tantrum when not getting a flag.
Yeah, well, because he knew
it's always hilarious.
Yeah, well, he knew he should have caught that. He's big enough to reach for that. Anyway, so this game, here's a surprise. A lot of people are blaming Dak for this loss because in that one where he ran in for a touchdown, he said he should have slid just before going in because you need to chew up clock. Now at first I thought that too. I'll admit it. I wish he slid down. But I get why he did it, because he want to win the game. Because he's a player and he trusts his team to do it. I don't trust his team, but that's why I'm not on that roster. But
I mean,
he wanted to win the game because what if he didn't make it? He might not have actually made it afterwards, assuming he didn't get in.
I mean, you're assuming that you're going to score points when you might not score any points. You could miss a chip shot field goal if you don't get it in. I mean, you take the points when you get them.
They had to get a touchdown. I think they were down 4 points.
Yeah. So you take the points when you get them. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I mean, you have to get the points.
The only thing people should be blaming Dak for was not that. That's not the right one. The correct one was the pick six, because that was a horrible throw. He threw it to the back of Terrence Williams. Do you know how hard it is to catch a ball like that? He should have threw it in front of him, and it got scooped up by what's that guy's name? I forget his name, but either way, he was an ass. He was taunting He was taunting. Although I think he got unsportsmanlike conduct, so he got that. Oh, you do that again, and you're gonna get ejected. I'm impressed they don't kick people out for unnecessary roughness.
That's typical of the Packers. When things are going good, they're taunting you, but when things are going bad, they're infighting.
Yep, and they're like, "Where's the flag, ref?"
Yeah, and then they're begging for flags I mean, there's a point. There's a reason why part of their logo is yellow.
Yeah, yellow with envy.
It's yellow for flags because they always seek it.
Yeah, but anyway, Bill, I have to point it out again. Aaron Rodgers did it again. He did it again. Carries his team on his back by himself, and just wins the game for him. And his receiver pointed out, like, this guy, like this corner, I forget who it was. He didn't call him a little bitch. I'm paraphrasing it. Like, he's a little bitch. Throw it at me. He can't stop me. Throw it to me again. I will catch it. Just give me a reasonable throw, and I'll catch it. And what did he do? Give him a reasonable throw. Catchable throw. Caught it. No resistance. Ball game.
Yep.
Packers had that easily because the Cowboys' defense, its secondary, cannot stop anybody for the life of them. I get why they chose Taco Charlton because Tre'Davious White was taken just before them by Buffalo, and I still don't like that. I still hate that they took him from us because I really wanted Tre'Davious White to go over there because they needed a corner. And speaking of, Bill, I want to bring up something that I've been saying, and this is going to be an interesting debate because there are some pundits already discussing this, not like on TV shows, just between each other. Who was better for the Cowboys? Who should they have drafted Ezekiel Elliott? Should they have taken Jalen Ramsey? I've been on the Jalen Ramsey camp so long, and that's because I have to deal with his ass every 2 weeks out of the season. Because guess where he's in? He's in Jacksonville.
Right. Can we give me 1 second? I need to go do something
All
really
right.
fast. Okay.
All right. Sorry about that. Bill had to do something. What was I saying? Okay, I remember now. Talking about Jalen Ramsey, because I think he's playing better still now. On one hand, and I do concede this, that yes, Zeke was playing as a transcendent talent last year, but right now, I'm hardly seeing any production or use. Now, to be fair, some of it is on the offensive line because that offensive line is overrated. Let's be real. It's not dominant anymore. Perhaps the most dominant offensive line in that whole division is in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I would agree.
But the other thing to me is that Jalen Ramsey has been doing well on his own. As a cornerback, if you look at the last game against Pittsburgh, which, oh boy, that one was a trap game indeed. Again, he allowed only a 38% completion rate when you go up against him. And even then,
Right.
what did they do? He created turnovers for his team. 5 interceptions. Now, he didn't cause them all, mind you. But what he brings to the table as a dominant defensive back, who can also play safety too. I think people forget about that. If you need to play safety, he can do it for you. He's that good where he can play 2 positions, flip over to another one, and it's like nothing has changed. He's still good at what he does. And to me, when I think about where they were in that year, like, look, you just signed Alfred Morris, you still had Darren McFadden, you had 2 good running backs, and of course you had a great wide receiving core and an offensive line at that time. It wasn't that overrated at that point in time. It was still good, really good. But
Right.
what was your problem? What held you back from winning games in that year, and more importantly, winning in the playoffs? You didn't have a reliable defense. Your cornerbacks were bad. You had Claiborne, who's okay, but he's not great. You had Brandon Carr, and then you had Orlando Scandrick, who you still have, and those two, the latter of them, were bad.
Right.
So you could have had this guy, plug him in as your top wide receiver, and guess who you play against most of the time? You go up against Odell Beckham. You went up against Jordy Nelson. You have those top receivers in the NFC, and of course you haven't yet to play Julio Jones. But when you do, oh boy, enjoy the 50 burger that might come your way.
I mean, and think of the big wide receivers in their division. They have in Philadelphia Alshon Jeffrey and Nelson Aguilar. In New York they have Odell Beckham and
well,
they have
not
Brandon
anymore.
Marshall and
Not anymore.
Well, not anymore, but just in a schedule standpoint,
Yeah.
In a divisional and from the beginning, even Washington has Jamison Crowder, who else is on Washington?
Maybe
right
it's
now?
how I am, and I know there are those people who are. I feel like there are 2 types of people now, and then and I was talking to Chicken. I think he showed me that the other side of the coin. There are 2 types of people when they think about the draft: those who draft by need, and those who draft by best player available. I am one based on need. So at that point, when I look at the Cowboys' needs, like I need defensive talent. Like if the Chargers gave Joey Bosa, I wouldn't be mad if they took him. I liked Ramsey more, but you know what? You needed help on the defense, so whatever works. To me at that point, I was like, take any defensive player. I don't care. You need something, anything to make that alive. And right now, I'm still thinking, I wish you drafted T.J. Watt. What, were you afraid of stealing J.J. Watt's thunder? I thought as a Jerry Jones move, that's what you would want to do, mister. I like to take spotlight from every little issue in the world.
I mean, legit, there's always the line of thinking that you either take a bunch of front 7 players or a bunch of secondary players. That's the other thing. And in this current league, you need to take secondary players first. That's my belief system. I mean, I'm fine with Jared Davis and building inside out and stopping the run. But some people like Jalen Ramsey, what the Jaguars did on their defense. Now they have Boye. Now they have Jalen Ramsey. And
And they have Barry
they're
Church
putting
from
a
the
hurt.
Cowboys, who is playing much better now that he has a supporting core. I don't know, he got
Yeah,
better
they're
somehow. Sure wish he played
they're
like that
put
when he was with us.
they're putting a hurting on uh they're putting a hurting on other teams' offenses through the air, so they're forced to run. And
In a
while
way,
the
they're a
Cowboys
no-fly zone.
yeah, in a way they're a no-fly zone. Same way the Broncos are
The
built.
Broncos are the perfect
That's
team who got both. They have the best of both worlds. They're not like the Seahawks, who have only primarily a good secondary, and what I would have said about Houston until this week happened, a good pass rush.
I mean, if you think of the best defenses in the NFL, if you think Seattle, if you think Denver, what are the nicknames for their defenses? The no-fly zone in Denver and the Legion of Boom in Seattle. And they're both secondary units. They're not the purple people eaters of the 70s with the Minnesota Vikings. They're not the monsters of the midway of the Chicago Bears in the 80s. You know,
Hmm.
that's that's the monsters of the
I think
Midway.
that's
That
just
was,
accordance to that
linebacker.
era, if you want my honest thoughts.
Yeah. But the best defenses follow the era that they're in, and you know
Yeah,
the
which
The Vikings defense is a great defense right now, but they're great against the run and somewhat decent against the pass.
Yep, and speaking of what I mentioned earlier, Jerry Jones, I want to have a bit of a talk about him. This is in relevance to the stance or the kneeling stance in the NFL. The NFL addressed this, but I will mention Jerry for being one of the people to start it. The other one being Miami, of course. Just want to give that one. But I want to talk about Jerry because, Mr. Jerry, remember what you did 2 weeks ago in Arizona? You kneeled with your players. Now, to be fair, that was before the anthem came out, but now you're saying, and let me get this right, you're going to, and I quote, bench any players who kneel during the national anthem. I actually want to test that out. I wonder, what would you do if Dez, Zeke, or especially Dak, if, say, Dak took a knee, what would you do? You gonna bench him and then throw your chances of winning a game? Ha! You won't do it. If it was some third string linebacker, you'd do it. Hell, you'd cut him right away as soon as he left the game. But you won't do that to your star players. Why? Because they're what make your franchise live right now. Take them all out and you are no better than the Cleveland Browns. And I mean that.
Right.
Those three players are the only reason this Cowboys team is still in it. Which even then, that might
Right.
be questionable right now since Philly's running away with it. But let's also remember Jerry Jones's problems. First, let's get the easy one. Like I say, I think he's bad at drafting because he wanted showy, like flashy players like Zeke. He wanted high octane offense. He wants, like I say, he wants to play like the Indianapolis Colts did with Peyton Manning when they won their Super Bowl. Spoiler: there's a change in the NFL's meta right now. You don't win with high octane offenses. The Denver Broncos with Peyton on his first try, and the Atlanta Falcons tried that already. And guess what happened? They lost. One blew a 25-point lead, and the other one got massacred in the Super Bowl. High octane offenses will only get you so far. You are not going to win a Super Bowl with that unless the game changes, because the game right now plays with powerful defenses and a solid run game. You have the run game, but you don't have the defense to balance it out. I'm not saying you need to have a Denver tier defense. All I'm saying is you need to have a reliable defense that you can actually depend upon when the game matters most, not giving away game-winning touchdowns and such when you don't want that. So there's that. And there's what the other thing. Mr. Jerry Jones about his whole, yes, I want you to respect the flag, which we discussed weeks ago. That was not the point of the whole kneeling stance by Kaepernick. It had to do with kneeling against the injustices that happen to minorities. You still there, Bill? Making sure you're still around.
Yeah. Yep. I'm still good.
All right, but let me get this straight. You were okay with Greg Hardy coming into the NFL and being in your side, in your team, and justify his actions for beating his fucking wife? You thought that was okay? For that insane man, that drug addicted man, to come into your building and then you want to come talk to us about being more of high moral values about the country? Get the hell out of here. I can understand giving second chances in some scenarios, especially if there is a showing of legit remorse. This is about as hypocritical about, say, Pittsburgh fans hating on Michael Vick because he was going to be their backup quarterback that one year. And that man did
Right.
horrible things to dogs, but at the very least, he has showed a considerable effort in trying to prevent those from happening again, and he served his time. Unlike other players, like, say, Martavis Bryant, who still keeps going up against the law and smoking weed, even though the NFL has told him many times not to, which we've already spoken on that issue. And then, of course, there was the big Ben rape allegations not too long ago. And, of course, their offensive line coach who got in a fight at a bar, and yet everyone's okay with them because, oh, they're good people. They're good for our team. They're going to help us get a ring, so it's okay. Get out of here. I can't stand that type of hypocrisy in this world. Where, oh, if it helps me, I don't care what you do. But if it goes against my beliefs and how I put it, if it goes against my beliefs and you want to make you look good in front of the rest of the world, you're gonna go shun them. You're gonna do this hypocrisy about talking about high moral values. Get out of here. Get that shit out of here, Jerry Jones. To be honest, I would say I wish that the Cowboys lose every game this year, but no, I'm smarter than that. No, I want you to go 8-8. Bill, why is it worse to go 8-8 than to go 0-16?
Because you're put in a hard position of, do I get rid of this coach or don't I? Do I get rid of this or not?
And
You know,
also,
and
you can't. You are in a weird position for drafting. Now you're not in the playoff tier, but you're still in that awkward. Yeah, we may not get the high talent player that we really need right now.
right. I mean, I'm just, Jerry Jones. He says he wants to show support and show unity with his players. Well, why, if you're gonna show unity with your players, then why are you buying into this false narrative that it's against the flag when it's not
And
against
you
the
know the funny
flag?
part in all
It's
this? I was expecting the Texans to be in this situation. Because remember, Bob McNair donated money to Donald Trump's election.
well,
But he let his
I'll
players
put
do what he want. He spoke out about it, and then nothing's changed.
it's you know what it is, and you know why it is. It's because of the state the Dallas Cowboys are in, for one. For two, it's the area of the country that the Cowboys appeal to: Oklahoma, southern parts of Arkansas, most of the entire state of Texas, parts of New Mexico. That area, that that zone is Dallas Cowboys zone right there. And there he's tapping into the the psychology of a certain subset of people there, so that way they don't turn their backs on the Cowboys and their money making machine. And that's what this is. Jerry Jones is trying to line his pockets and make sure that, oh well, it's about unity with the players 2 weeks ago, and then now it's, oh well, it's disrespecting the flag when it's not. It's just, you're trying to say, oh, listen up, uh, people that don't understand the argument. I'm totally with you here. Come to my games and buy some jerseys from me.
I'm like, no, sir. Out of all the teams, and like they're the last team right now. In fact, Bill, there's one thing I want to mention. They're already on the nominee runnings and running away with it for worst organization right now. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot more football to be played and a lot of stupid decisions. I mean, the Browns are
I
always
mean,
there. They always
the
have a
new
spot. It's like this seat is reserved for the Cleveland Browns.
right
But
now,
just
my front runner is the New York Giants.
oh god. Yeah, and here's the sad thing, the Jets have better odds of getting into the playoffs than they do. Who would have thought that? But anyway, the last thing about Jerry that I want to mention is he's just the diva. If there's a chance to get his name out there and get, pressed for his boys, he'll talk. It's just how he is. There are more quiet owners that don't really speak out that often, but he's not one of them. He is the complete opposite of that. But and trust me, the coaching is not doing well. Their smoke and mirrors defense has failed them, and now they're in quite a rut. So, like I said the Cowboys are going to go 9-7. That's what I've been believing. But at this rate, they might go 7-9. So have fun with that. I want a perfect 8-8 or 9-7, but miss the playoffs against the Eagles. Probably going to be the Sunday night football game for Week 17. I bet you. I put money right now that that's going to be the SNF game for Week 17. Dallas at Philly.
Possible.
Just you wait. You know why. Al Davis and Chris Collinsworth love the NFC East. But yeah. Anyway, Bill, you ready to move on, or do you have any other comments about this?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Yeah. Just remember, Dallas, Green Bay owns your ass. Aaron Rodgers has owned your ass about as much as he's owned the NFC North. Although that could maybe change, hopefully, but we'll see. But the NFC North part, not the Dallas one. As long as you don't have a good defense, you ain't winning shit against Aaron Rodgers. Anyway, let's move on to the other Texas team. The one that, even though what has happened today, I still think they are a little bit better than them. I'm talking about Houston. The Houston Texans, as soon as the game started, injuries became a thing for both teams. First, after the punt or after the kickoff, a Chiefs player goes down. That's bad. But then, Whitney Merciless has a torn pectoral muscle in his left arm. He's out for the year. And then J.J. Watt, oh my God, the way he landed on his leg was horrible. If you see it, Bill, it looks basically legs should not move that way.
Yeah.
He tore a ligament or something. I don't know muscles. I don't know human anatomy, so I won't go around saying it. You can search for that yourself if you want to know the specifics. But he's out for the year. And while they say it's not a career-ending injury, apparently long-term, if he wants to keep playing, he may develop arthritis after this is over, which is not good. Yeah. Who was so dominant from 2011 to 2015 has now, I wouldn't say fallen off a cliff, but just his body is now, it feels like it's deteriorating at a rapid rate, and I hate seeing that.
I mean, the position he plays is going to be difficult to keep playing on. It would not surprise me if they start moving J.J. Watt off of the line and play him more as a linebacker.
Possibly, but then that means they'd have to draft a defensive end.
I mean, you still have Jadeveon Clowney that you can keep, and when Merciless is back, you can shuffle the defensive line.
But it's the same shit as before, Bill. We can't have a year where all three are there and can gel. Now we have only Clowney. This is the Clowney show on defense because I said the secondary core has been weakening, and it showed today because Alex Smith was doing the same play on third down. Give the ball and then maybe run to the right or run to the left, get the secondary to bite, and then somebody will be open, easy first down and more. He kept doing the exact same play multiple times in the early portions of the game. Basically, they kept getting third down conversions, and that just didn't help. And that's because this defense did their damn best to hold them to field goals, but the offense was getting stuffed early on. They were giving Deshaun Watson a lot of mask plays and confusing him, and the run game early on was not that good. Sure, the first drive was great, but they couldn't even get in field goal range because of a flag.
Right.
Not good. That was not helpful. That did not help at all, and it was just going from bad to worse. Once you lost Watt and Merciless, it became predictable. Just stop Clowney. Make the other young linebackers beat you or get to you. That's all they could do. You could not let Clowney. As long as Clowney didn't reach Smith, it's okay. You've got this. And that's because the defense started teetering off for the Chiefs, but that's because they were fine. They were comfy. They knew they had this game in the bag. The offense started churning better, but half of those touchdowns that Deshaun Watson did, and he did a 5-touchdown game, and he did not turn the ball over on this defense. But to me, I felt at least maybe 2 of those touchdowns were just given to him because it was garbage time. The way I
Right.
knew that
Yeah.
they stopped caring was especially on that final drive when Deshaun Watson was going to run in to get that 2-point conversion. A Chiefs player tried to move, but then as soon as he took 2 steps, he just stopped. It's like, I'm not going to hurt myself over this. We've won already.
Right.
They just gave. I mean, he was going to get in regardless, but he didn't bother trying to hit him. It's like, I don't care. We won. There's no need for that.
Right. I mean, the Chiefs had built such a lead. It was difficult for Houston to
It wouldn't
ever
have been
come
as
back.
difficult if they had their entire defense together. But they didn't.
Right.
So they became
Exactly.
predictable. Just stop Clowney, that's it. They're about like, to put it one way, their defense is now a little better than, say, Oakland. Whereas Oakland has Khalil Mack, and it's simple. Stop Khalil Mack. Make the other players get to you instead. Force them to make a play, and you'll be just fine.
Right.
The Chiefs look unstoppable, Bill. I'm not going to say they're going to go 16-0. I know they're going to lose games. I expect them to. Not now, but they're going to lose games. In fact, some of them they may just give up. Like, it's that one week where you don't care. You just want to bench your players and have them rest while you just let the game go through. You want to chew up clock and shit.
Right. I mean, I'm of the mind if you're 15-0 at the end of the season, you're going for 16-0. And they'll play their players just like the Patriots did when they went 16-0. They played their players against the Giants.
It's just because I can't see any team in the other divisions now that could actually make them lose or catch up to their score. Because the only threatening team right now is the Broncos. To me, I'm hoping the Broncos split with them at the very least. But I don't
The
think that's going to happen.
Broncos are a legit threat to the Chiefs. Do the Broncos have enough offense to compete with the Chiefs? That's the issue.
Yep. Um, but yeah, this defense has gotten predictable. The secondary, it's like how I feel about the Seahawks. I think give the Seahawks a year or two left, and the Legion of Boom is going to deteriorate rapidly. They have to start considering drafting players at those positions to eventually succeed them. Because if you want to keep that level of dominance, you have to draft it. You have to basically get your problem fixed early and just leave it there. Well, have it be there just behind them, like how Aaron Rodgers was behind Brett Favre. Fix your problem while it's not a problem, basically. And the Texans have
I
to
mean,
start doing that,
there's
but they can't do it in the draft because guess what? First 2 round picks with Cleveland.
right.
What were you
I
gonna say,
mean,
Bill?
the I mean, the you sort of see with CL they're already starting to get players that are going to be replacements. I mean, they have Jeremy Lane, who's a damn good corner right now, and that's part of the reason why CL's defense is as good as it's been,
I think this
and
is their last year with that core before they have to
I
start
mean,
shuffling it.
Cam Chancellor, you're gonna have Cam Chancellor. Sherman's probably going to be gone. You're gonna keep Earl Thomas. He's all world at his position. You can't get rid of a good safety like that. The safeties just don't grow on trees. But yeah, the Houston defense overall is much weaker than they were going into the game, and Houston's offense is starting to show signs of being a very dangerous offense.
What a situation we're
So
in, huh?
yeah, it's almost different than what you guys have had in the past, where you guys have had a dangerous defense for most of the years that the Texans have been great, and you've had questionable offenses. This year, you're gonna have more of a questionable defense and a very very scary offense because Deshaun Watson, I sort of fluffed him off, but in that Kansas City game, he played a legit defense and he still got 5 touchdowns, even if a couple of them were garbage time.
There were some
It's
great
still
plays
five
he made,
touchdowns.
and
Yeah, he went from starting slow to just taking off.
there is a way to know if that defense is playing for real because on that touchdown, that bomb to Will Fuller, and let me set you up on that too. One Chiefs player was completely open to get him, but he moved out of the way, not like a very rapid, I need to put a lot of strength in dodging him. No, just like a quick slide to the left, almost Michael Jackson style. And this guy was going to strip sack him too. So what he does is he gets the ball in his left hand instead while the guy pulls on his right to give him a false sense of security, like, oh, I got it. No, you don't. Then, and remember, he has yet to throw it. He has to throw it right now because that guy's going to readjust himself and hit him from the back. So what does he do? Put it back in his right hand and just chucks it at Will Fuller because Will Fuller beat the second cornerback. This is what I mentioned earlier about what, say, if you get like Brandon Cooks in the Detroit Lions offense, it changes everything because sure, he's not the top receiver, but if you let him torch your cornerback, he may as well be. If he's far from the cornerback, just throw it up for grabs. He's going to get it because that guy's not going to catch him. You're not going to catch him. And
Right.
yeah, that was a spectacular catch, right in the money too, right in Will Fuller's chest, easy to grab, touchdown. That was perhaps his
Yep.
best throw all game, and there were some where that were very dangerous.
And you know the thing that always gets glossed over with Deshaun Watson? He's a damn good pocket quarterback. He's a run last quarterback, and he's developing into a very dangerous threat. He's a Russell Wilson in disguise with a bigger arm, and that's a scary prospect.
Yeah, honestly, when he's playing like a pocket passer, when he has, in fact, here's the crazy thing: as the game went on, the offensive line got better. I know you could, like I said, the Chiefs were starting to put their foot off the gas, but that line was doing its damn best. Now I couldn't say the same about rushing early on, but then there was a point where Deontay Foreman, my boy, he dropped the ball, he fumbled the ball, and they scooped it up. What could have been a take it into the house touchdown. No, Deshaun Watson, unlike some other quarterbacks, he ain't a little bitch about it. He goes after that guy, hits him in the chest. No, hits him in the stomach with his helmet, and knocks him down or brings him down. It was amazing. It's like, wow. I mean, I don't want him to hurt himself, but it's like he did not care. It's like, you're not taking that in. Most quarterbacks would just, I'm gonna try to push you. No, he just tackled him. He hit him like a football player does, and it was crazy. But
Right. Ex-
other things to mention, DeAndre Hopkins still insane. He was able to out jump some players, and or like he was double covered most towards the end of the game. He still made plays. In fact, there was one where he was able to make the cornerbacks or the corner and the safety look the other way. It was for that first touchdown he got, and by the time he was starting to go up in the air, they're like, "Oh no, I better get him!" And they try to bring him down and hold him, which you don't do that. You don't do that because it was an easy flag, but he got it anyway. Great touchdown.
right.
My favorite part was when Lamar Miller and Deontay Foreman just got the ball back to back, and they were just running like they were angry, which I want to see them play angry, play hard, and just run over anybody who tries to hold you down. There was actually almost a near touchdown run by Foreman, but 5 Chiefs players had to bring him down. There are some things to take away on the offense, but it's still a loss, and you lost Merciless and Watt for the year. In my power rankings, I only brought them down a few spots because I want to see how they do without this team. Now, the good news is they have the Cleveland Browns. Now, if they win, unless they win by 60 points, they're just going back to where they were before. I'm not putting them any higher because I think, okay, you just go back into that same position where you're frisky enough to get into the playoffs but not quite make a playoff run, if that
Right.
makes sense. Like, you can be a
Right.
playoff contender, but you can't be a Super Bowl contender. That's where I think they belong. It's just the right area because their offense has been much more consistent and healthy than the defense. And I know it sounds like I was giving the Cowboys a lot of shit, but hell, at least the defense at least has some depth. And today they signed Lamar Houston from who used to be with the Bears. So, Bill, you've seen that guy. Was he good, or you don't remember?
He was pretty good. You know, he's definitely a good veteran presence on that team.
Yeah,
So
he's replacing Whitney Merciless's spot. I don't know if he'll start this week, but we'll see. But I could sure use
right.
any help for that. And actually, there was one other thing I wanted to know about the Texans before we get into the general news and then the picks. Dwayne Brown was in the Fox set for you know how at the beginning like 10 it was like 11 to 12 for you, Bill. You know the pregame shows that they always do every Sunday. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, apparently he was there because Tony Gonzalez took a picture with some other guy. I forget who it was, but Dwayne was in the back, and Texans fans spotted him. And I'm like, "What the hell are you doing, Dwayne? I know you're on this strike. You want to get a better pay, and I get it, your health, but why are you over there?" Where you're like, I want to be taken seriously. I want to be given a pay. Well, why the hell are you traveling around the damn country doing whatever you want? Because at that point, I'm thinking I shouldn't take anything you say seriously. Here's the thing, if I had known he was going to be like this, I would have rather cut him and then try to get AJ Boye back because AJ Boye is still playing great, and we could sure use some cornerback depth right now because our on the rise player Kevin Johnson keeps getting hurt.
Right. I mean, it's also on management to re-sign him as well, and if he's not close, I don't blame him for going and doing other
Yeah,
jobs.
oh, I'm still questioning why you go to Jacksonville. Sure, the money's there, but if you want a ring, you should have gone to New England or something.
I mean, Jacksonville's no joke anymore.
Well, their defense is no joke, but their offense is what's going to hold them hostage. Remember, Bill, they only Blake Bortles attempted less than 15 throws.
Right.
The rest was
I
Leonard
mean,
Fournette, 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 Fournette. That's all they did. Remember, before the year started, Doug Marone said, "I just want to give the ball to Fournette. That's all."
yeah.
Because
I
as soon
mean,
as they have to give, if they're at a point where they have to give Bortles the ball, they know they're fucked. They know they're done.
I mean, it can be a winning strategy to run the
Well,
football, and
they still need to consider getting a quarterback next year.
oh yeah, but yeah,
If they get like say Kaepernick and he comes back to form, well now look we have to watch out because there's a new contender in the South. But until that time, I'm never taking the Jags seriously because they win games they aren't expected to win, and then games they should just easily be handed, they give up. I mean, you lost to the Jets. I can't take you seriously still. You know what I mean?
right,
Like what? You're
right.
gonna get the Browns eventually too, and like, oh, look, we blew out the Browns. Yes, that's it. You blew out the Browns. Whoop-de-doo. Anybody can do that. Anyway, Bill, other news to mention in the NFL: those severe injuries, because it wasn't just J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless. You had the entire Giants starting wide receiver core all out. Brandon Marshall had to be carted off. Um, Sterling Shepard had to leave the game, and then you lost Odell Beckham for the year. And
Yep.
people were making fun of him because he's got hurt. People also made fun of him because he was crying. And I'm like, you guys are fucking terrible. And I don't like Beckham. I'll preface that. I hate the guy. I never liked his diva personality, and I can't stand how he makes Des Bryant look mature. How you do that, I don't know, but I never liked the guy. But I'm never gonna wish injuries, especially of that magnitude, on him.
Right. No, no. I mean, it's it's how would you like it if you were on the field and you had a broken ankle? Would you be happy go lucky every freaking day? No, you'd be crying too in pain. So there is no place in football. There's no place in being a fan for wishing injuries on anybody. Legitimately, even Greg Hardy, how much I hate him for being a wife beater, etc. I'd not wish an injury on the guy. I mean, if you know the old phrase "what goes around comes around" would come into play, I'd be like, oh well, you know what, he got what was coming to him. But I wouldn't be like, oh, I hope he breaks his leg today. I hope someone takes their helmet and just splinters his ankle. That sort of stuff has no place in the game. It has no place as being a fan, and really, it's a deplorable thing to do. So that's my stance on it. And no matter who it is or etc. You just don't you just don't wish it on anyone else, because eventually that sort of attitude is going to come back at you, and it's going to come back with a vengeance in one way, shape, or form.
Yep, so sports fans, come back to us. Stop acting like that. That's horrible. But anyway, so other games to mention. The Jags, like I mentioned, picked off Big Ben 5 times, Bill. They turned Big Ben into fucking Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's
Yeah.
that's horrible. I don't blame him for considering retirement. I think he's gonna go to Bruce Arians after he gets out of Pittsburgh because
I think
yeah,
he's gonna retire. I really, honestly, I don't think he's gonna play another season. I think this was his last shot, and I think he's gone after this year.
yeah, we'll see. I guess. Other games to note: the Seahawks are back. They beat the Rams because the Rams acted like last year's Rams, who could never punch it in the end zone. But oh man, it was a close and ugly game. It's what I expect from the NFC West when it was in its heyday.
Right.
But now the Rams aren't out of it, but the Seahawks are back in business. They're back in the driver's seats where honestly they belong. And oh no, Bill, the other thing is here's the worst side of everything that's come from today. Eagles fans. They're thumping their chests because like look, the Church of Carson Wentz. Look at it. Look at him and his graciousness. Our Lord and Savior has come to pick up Philly sports from the grave. I'm hoping. This is sad. I have to deal with annoying Eagles fans and a sexist on Thursday Night Football, and I'm not sure what to do. I don't like. I will not drink that punch from the Church of Carson Wentz. I will not, because remember he did great the last few weeks at the beginning of the year, and then what happened? He was humbled.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
I think one thing to note from that though is now this year, Carson Wentz has an actual offensive line and he has an actual running game. So you know, it that'll take a little bit of pressure off of him, because last year he was getting hit all over the place.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not gonna say that he's turned the corner because he's in his second year. It's still too early to say anything.
Oh yeah. I just want to see him like go into the playoffs. Then go run with this division. You can run away with this division. I don't see anyone really getting in your way. So anyway,
See,
let's like. What are you gonna say,
I'm
Bill?
I'm a 4 year guy, and after 4 years, I make my judgment, and Ebron's in year 4, so I can make that judgment.
Yeah. Anyway, Bill. So are you ready, Bill, for the picks?
Indeed. All right, so here we go. The Thursday night game, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Carolina Panthers.
Now we're treated with a good treat for Thursday Night Football, and I'm going to go with the Panthers. I'd rather go with the sexist on this one because assuming they bring their Dr. Jekyll defense, I think they can actually shut down Carson Wentz a little bit.
And I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles because I just feel like the Eagles have just a way better offense, and I think they'll be able to pick apart the Panthers defense. They're kind of they're kind of like you said, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Next up, the Sunday games, the 1 o'clock games, the Chicago Bears at the Baltimore Ravens.
What a joy for Baltimore! They get fixed right by the beating of Derek Carrless Raiders, and now they have the Bears with Mitch Trubisky. So I'm gonna go with the Ravens. If you thought the Vikings exploited him, the Ravens are gonna look like the purple people eaters as well this time.
And I have no faith in the Baltimore offense. And I think the Chicago Bears have been playing somewhat decent. I've got an upset. I've got an upset alert. I got the Chicago Bears beating the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, there's a spicy upset of the week. I am on board, although I'm going Baltimore.
I think they're gonna run the football over the Ravens this week.
I think the Ravens are just gonna turn the ball over on this one. Poor Trubisky's gonna throw his first pick six.
Next up, the Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans.
Okay, so one thing to note, the Browns aren't starting DeShone Kizer. They switched to Kevin Hogan, and I'm thinking, what, you want to surprise us? I'm not impressed. I think the Texans are going to do plenty enough to blow out the Browns, no problem.
This is another 5 touchdown pass type game for Deshaun Watson. They're going to absolutely stomp the
Hey, if he
Browns.
does that
I
again,
got
I think he has a shot to steal the Rookie of the Year from Kareem
oh
Hunt. I
the
still think Kareem's going to get it, but look out. Deshaun Watson's coming and coming fast.
yeah. I honestly I see this as a blowout. I got Houston way by a long shot. Next up, the Green Bay Packers at the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh boy, this one's going to be very close. I was going to say, though, by the way, the Texans are going to make the Browns really regret not getting Watson. And also, Browns fans, I know you want us to lose so you can get a high draft pick from us, but no, I won't let you. Anyway, back to this game. I think this is an upset of the week, if you want to call it that, because the Packers are heavy favorites because they have the glory of Aaron Rodgers and his back. But no, I think this Vikings defense is as good as last year's, and they're going to shut him down a bit. They're going to keep him humbled, and Case Keenum is going to do just enough to torch this defense, even without Dalvin Cook. I'm going Minnesota.
I agree. I got the Vikings defense shutting down the Packers, and I think Bradford's healthy now, so he should be back. So I just trust him with his receivers more, and God knows if Jordy Nelson will play. I got the Minnesota Vikings. Next up, the Detroit Lions at the New Orleans Saints.
I don't think this one's going to be as a gimme like previous encounters, but I'm going to go with the Lions. The Stafford's hurt, and that's a problem, but I'm just going to hope they're going to cling to the running game, and this is what they should do, because I think the Saints' defense is actually worse on the ground than it is in the air.
I agree. I think they're going to do exactly what you said. They're ball a lot. That'll keep Drew Brees off the field. That'll keep the Saints' terrible defense on the field. I've got the Lions winning, hopefully. All right. Next up, the Miami Dolphins at the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh boy. I'm going to go with Atlanta. They're coming off their bye week. They should feel fresh. Don't know if Julio Jones is coming back yet, but I think they'll do just enough to beat this Dolphins team because it does not know how to put up much points.
Yeah, the Falcons are going to absolutely crush the Dolphins. Easy win. Next up, the New England Patriots at the New York
And
Jets.
this one's not as much of a gimme either, but I'm going to go with the Patriots still. I think they'll win by just a field goal, however, because the Jets team has been playing a lot better still.
I got the Patriots, but I'm very shaky on that. I'm very shaky.
Yeah, who would
I
have
want
thought?
to see more. Next up, the San Francisco 49ers at the Washington football team.
I'm going to go with the Washington football team. Kirk Cousins is gonna get a close-up preview of his new team come next season. He's going to like what he sees, but the Washington football team is going to put up 2 more scores above the 49ers.
Chris Thompson's on go crazy. I got the Washington football team winning. Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Arizona Cardinals.
The Arizona Cardinals, I forgot to mention, has just gotten Adrian Peterson in a trade. And I think they're going to use him immediately, and I think he'll do just enough. He'll get his first touchdown of the year as the Cardinals beat the Buccaneers.
I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning pretty comfortably. I think they're just a better team all around than Arizona. You know, even with Adrian Peterson, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm. I want to see what happens with Adrian before I, pick Arizona.
I expect Larry
just can't do
Fitzgerald
it.
to carry them again.
Right. Next up, the Los Angeles Rams at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Are these still the 1 o'clock games?
These are the 4 o'clock games.
Okay. Because I was wondering, oh man, the Rams, I think they're going to get back on track. This is going to be a 7-13 type of game. It's going to be super ugly, but I think the Rams are going to do just enough to win it.
And I think I'm going to pick, they both have great running backs. I just like the secondary of Jacksonville a lot more. And I'm picking Jacksonville. I just, Boye and,
Ramsey.
freaking Ramsey just they're showing something to me, so I'm gonna pick them this week. Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Kansas City
I
Chiefs.
think the Chiefs are going to win, but watch out. The last time the Steelers were here, they literally kicked themselves to victory. So it's not a
I
gimme.
mean, I got Kansas City. They're going to absolutely annihilate
Maybe, I don't
Pittsburgh.
know,
I
because
mean,
the Steelers typically play to whatever team they're up against is level, except the Patriots. They play great with good teams, but then they play like trash when they play bum teams.
I just feel like there's something wrong with Ben Roethlisberger. There's something
I
wrong.
feel like
He
there's
has
something
not
wrong with
looked
their wide
himself.
receivers.
Yep, that too. All right, next up, the Los Angeles Chargers at the Oakland Raiders.
Oh man, Bill, I don't even know who to go for because I don't think Carr will be back. I think I'm going to go with the Chargers because they have a quarterback and the Raiders don't.
And I'm gonna pick the Raiders, but I'm very shaky on that. I am ultra shaky on that.
If Derek Carr starts, I'm going to go with the Raiders, but if not, I'm going to go with the Chargers. That's what I'm going to go say with.
All right. So the Sunday night game, the New York Giants at the Denver Broncos.
Sure wish we could flex this one out. I'd much rather put Jacksonville and the Rams on this instead of this trash. The Broncos are going to shut out the Giants because the Giants have no receivers who could get in here on time and be ready because there's no way they can go up against the no-fly zone. Rest in
Yeah.
peace, Eli Manning's hopes and dreams.
No fly zone versus a team with no running game and no wide receiver. Good luck. I got Denver easy.
Oy.
And the Monday night game, the Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, the Titans get an easy game, prime time game, which is what they've always wanted. And they get to play an Andrew Luckless Colts again. Oh man, the Titans are gonna blow them out. They're gonna have about 50 minutes of offense or of clock on for time of possession. It's gonna be ugly.
I got the Titans. It's not even close. I got Titans.
All right, Bill. Week 7's Thursday night game.
One sec. Let me check it really fast. All right. It is the Kansas City Chiefs at the Oakland Raiders.
Oh, Derek Carr. If there's no Derek Carr, I'm going with the Chiefs. But if he's there, I might go with the Raiders. But I don't know.
I I can't pick against the Kansas City Chiefs right now. I'm going to go Kansas City. They're just probably the best team in the entire league this year.
Yeah, it's bad. Now, before we go, I forgot to mention this during the other stuff, but Bill, I don't know if you've heard, but the NFL is apparently going to make a ban against kneeling. How does that make you feel?
I think it's really stupid and it's playing into a certain administration's hands and making the case for them. So don't do it.
They're probably going to do it, and I think the owners are all going to comply, which, I mean, you already have Jerry Jones speaking his influence, and apparently no owners want to protest this guy, but
I'm just putting it out there. This is just another example of why the NFL and the NFL Players Union are not going to come to an agreement for the CBA in 2019. The NFL is going to have a strike and it's not going to play any games in
yep.
2019.
I swear they take a step forward and a step back. First, we can have more leeway with our celebrations as long as they're not actual taunting. But now you can't even speak your mind as an athlete or as a person.
Right. I mean, it's ridiculous. This idea that you can't speak out in America is exactly against what this country stands for, and it plays into people making stupid statements and walking out of games at certain football games. Certain vice president in Indianapolis.
Oh yeah,
comes
there
to
was
mind.
that. He walked out of the Indianapolis game because some players kneeled. Apparently, he was going to do it regardless because that's what some people are reporting. And also, the thing when he posted on Twitter that look, I'm at this Colts game. Turns out that's the same picture he used 3 years ago. He just made it darker tinted to make him look older. Bitch, please,
Yep.
you ain't fooling anybody.
I'm just putting it that way. Don't play into this administration's hands. Don't allow yourself to be played by this administration. Focus on what should be focused on. Las Vegas, Puerto Rico, not the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Green Bay Packers or any NFL team.
Hey, you
The
want to know a
real
sad
thing that
fact?
should
This is surprising,
what?
which I guess this is the one time I'll praise Green Bay. They actually pay their taxes. They're the only team that pays their damn taxes.
Right.
Oh,
I mean,
kudos to you, Wisconsin.
it's 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 this I it, what the NFL fans should be paying attention to, they're not paying attention to, and it's a diversionary tactic by the vice president of the United States to go into an NFL stadium and then walk out and waste taxpayer money on that. He should be investigated for wasting taxpayer money to secure that stadium for pulling a publicity stunt against the NFL. And that is the main thing that I'm going to take away from that. It's a publicity stunt, and Mike Pence should be investigated for wasting our taxpayer money on a publicity stunt.
Oh yeah,
Period.
it's horrible.
End of story.
Yep, I don't like this either. The 2020 could not come any faster. It could not come any faster. But anyway,
Exactly.
we'll leave it on that note. And this week of football should be pretty good. We'll see you guys come week 7.